President Donald Trump is threatening to send the military into yet another blue city. On Saturday, Trump posted online that Chicago was, quote, about to find out why it's called the Department of War. And there you go. That's what he sent. Jesus Christ. Now, in response to this unhinged post, you had Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker writing on X that Trump is, quote, threatening to go to war with an American city. This is not a joke. This is not normal. I mean, it's true. It's not normal. It shouldn't be normal. But here we are. Okay. Donald Trump isn't a strong man, he added. He is a scared man. Illinois won't be intimidated by a wannabe dictator. So, look, J.B. Pritzker has been, fairly strong against Donald Trump, rhetorically. Okay? And so, credit where credit is due. And yes, even though I'm loath to give credit, Gavin Newsom, I don't like Gavin Newsom. I definitely do not believe that he should be the Democratic nominee in 2028, but I do like that he is trolling Donald Trump using his own style. And by the way, it's not him that's writing these posts, tweets. It is a member of his staff, to be fair. Okay. Whereas Trump is writing a lot of this stuff, okay, on his own True Social account. So now, that said, in the past week or so, Trump and some of his other administration officials are floating the suggestion that, why don't we just send in the National Guard to Chicago to fight crime? But wait, crime's down. Crime has declined nationally. Now, he also threatened to send in the troops to Baltimore and New Orleans, cities where, again, crime is also down. Gee, what do they all have in common? Baltimore, Chicago, New Orleans. I'll let you think about that one. Okay. No, the irony here, of course, is that a lot of red states have higher crime rates than the cities that he is considering sending the National Guard into. Now, he was asked about that over the weekend by a reporter, and, he got a little testy.
That's fake news. When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why leave the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense. Why? Let me ask you. Yeah. Really higher than Chicago? You're not. Excuse me. You know how many people were killed in Chicago last weekend? 8. You know how many people were killed in Chicago the week before? 7. You know how many people were wounded? 74 people were wounded. You think there's worse than that? I don't think so.
Yeah, actually, there is worse than that. Yeah. There are cities with higher murder rates. Look, here's the thing. The 4 cities with a population larger than 100,000 per capita, right? The highest murder rates in 2024 are actually as follows. Jackson, Mississippi, with 78.7 per 100,000 residents. That's a murder rate. Birmingham, Alabama, 58.8. St. Louis, Missouri, 54.1. Memphis, Tennessee, 40.6. Now, what do those cities have in common? What do those cities have in common? Once again, I'm going to let you think about that. All right? Look, here's the funny thing, right? Cities, I don't know if you know this, there's a lot of people in the cities. Who knew, right? Chicago has a population of 2.7 million people, all right? So now when you have more people concentrated in a smaller area geographically, then yeah, you're going to have crime that goes up. That's why we talk about it per capita. That's how we do those statistics, right? Now, Chicago, as I mentioned, 2.7 million people, right? That's actually larger than the populations of each of the least populous 15 American states. Yes, that's right. We have a city that has more people in it than states. Okay. And by the way, that one city also roughly has the same population as Mississippi. Now, Chicago's homicide rate for 2024 was 17.5 murders for every 100,000 residents. Wait a minute. That's a lot less than Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, St. Louis, Jackson. Okay. That's a lot less. Okay. And look, that's actually a few points higher than that of the state of Louisiana, which has 14.5 per 100,000 in 2024. So now, the reason I bring this up is that Trump ain't talking about sending the military into those cities. No, not talking about sending the military into Louisiana or Mississippi. Birmingham, the cities, Jackson, Memphis, they all have higher murder rates than the cities targeted by Donald Trump. And yet, again, he ain't talking about that. Look at that. Murder rates in the cities targeted by Donald Trump. Birmingham, Jackson, Memphis, St. Louis, right? And yet, Baltimore. He's like, I'm going to send a military to Baltimore. I'm going to send it to Chicago. Already sent it into Washington, D.C. Huh, weird. Weird. Yeah, at the end of the day, Chicago ranks 37th in homicides in 2024. Okay. For cities larger than 50,000 in the United States. For cities with more than 100,000, it actually placed about 14th this year. And that is likely to go further down because violence overall across the country is now at a 60-year low. We're not facing an epidemic of violent crime here, okay? Yes, there was a blip in 2020. And yet, it's gone steadily down since then. It's almost like we faced a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, that made things get a little crazy. Now, as reported by the FBI's Crime Data Unit in August, the United States had a homicide rate of just 4.6 per 100,000 residents in 2024, which is the lowest figure since 2014, and is very close to hitting generational lows of 4 to 4.5 per 100,000 that were last experienced in the early 1960s. And here is an interesting fact. Turns out some of the violent crime that was, recorded in the 1970s, 1980s was actually due to high exposures of lead. There was a meta-study that was done of at least 24 different studies, which found substantial evidence linking exposure to lead to violent crime. These studies align with earlier research that suggested that lead exposure may foster impulsive and aggressive tendencies, which are potential precursors to violent offenses. That doesn't mean everyone who's exposed to lead automatically becomes violent. It just means that you're more likely to. Okay? So there's that. And this, of course, explains why we don't have a lot of lead paint or lead in the gasoline, and why the government has been trying to remove lead water pipes. Now, of course, just ask Flint, Michigan, how that's gone. Look, exposure to lead is dangerous, and it causes so many ill effects, including aggression. And you know what? People in low-income areas, for example, the inner city, tended to be more exposed to lead. So I think that link is very interesting, even though they're like, well, it's not the biggest driver of violent crime. But I think it's really telling, and I think it is more important. But anyway, Trump threatening to send in the military is not about stopping crime. If it was, if they were actually really focused on crime, then Trump and others would be looking to eliminate the factors that create crime, the biggest one being poverty. Yes, poverty breeds crime. But it's not about that. No, what Trump is doing is just going into Democratic-led cities to try to intimidate his political enemies, which again was really the whole point, and from the beginning, from the outset. And so really, is what he's doing and talking about really all that much of a surprise? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.